You are listening to the Overcome Pornography for Good podcast. What's possible when you befriend your sexuality? Welcome to the Overcome Pornography for Good podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Brewer. Hey everyone, welcome to today's podcast episode. We are hitting number 3 of 3. There might be a few more to this series because as I'm creating these episodes as we go, I'm like, oh, there are more things to talk about and more questions that are coming up for people. But here is the 3rd episode in this series on befriending your sexuality. In episode 1, we covered a lot. We've covered a lot in the first 2 episodes. So if you haven't listened to the first 2, I would highly recommend that you go back and you listen to them. The first one is all about the fact that sex is a biological urge. And so a lot of people try to quit viewing porn like they're trying to quit smoking, but it doesn't work that way, right? With smoking, it's like the longer you go without smoking, the less that you want to smoke, but it will not be that way with porn because sex is a biological urge. It's here to stay. It doesn't go away. Smoking, you're not born with it. Sexual urges are something you're born with, or at least come online once you hit puberty. So we have to approach this differently. We have to learn to work with our sexuality instead of against it. And the reason that nothing has worked for you in quitting porn is because everything out there is teaching you to work against it, to ignore it, to push it away, to overcome it, to fight it, instead of working with it. So we dive into that in the first episode. The second episode, we talk about, sorry if there's a little bit of noise in the background. I'm watching my brother's cat and he is very snuggly and just really wants to be by me right now. So he's playing with all the boxes that are next to me. Anyways, in the second episode, we talked about shame-based operating systems. We talked about how do we befriend our sexuality, and one of the key things that we have to do is heal the shame-based operating systems. Now, I feel like I need to reiterate this a little bit, but the reason this step is so vital is because if we befriend our sexuality, but we don't heal inside, we don't get a healing, beautiful relationship with our sexuality, we get an entitled sexuality. So for those of you who are worried about, well, what if I befriend my sexuality and then I justify doing all these things? Well, how we prevent that from happening is we have to do the internal work of healing these systems inside of you that have the potential to create harm. Shame, number 1. Shame is just like a disease. In the church I grew up in, one of the sayings was, that I heard, someone quoted it in, I don't know, like the 90s or something, was porn is like this generation's plague. And I would change that to shame is the plague. That doesn't mean that all porn is great or that the porn industry doesn't have a lot of harmful things in it. We can talk about that. I do talk about that in other episodes. Definitely doesn't mean that, but it means that what really creates the problem is shame. And we dive into that in the second episode. There's a lot more to say about that. Just a couple thoughts I've had on that since recording that episode is there's also these, we call them domination systems inside of us, or like a ranking system inside of us. So ranking systems of this is good, this is bad, this part is better than this part, right? In our world, in our culture, we grow up with that ranking each other. We're ranking who's better than another. We're ranking what parts of us make us valuable to society, and this part makes us valuable, and this part doesn't make us valuable. And so we rank pieces, rank individuals, rank classes, rank races, rank genders, what's better than the other person. So that lives inside of us too. That creates problems in society. There is ranking of who is better than another person. That creates a lot of societal problems. It also creates a lot of problems inside us. And so when we're healing the shame-based operating systems, we're also healing those ranking systems of what part of me deserves to exist and what part of me doesn't deserve to exist. And it's so like all encompassing. It's like we don't even, again, it's fish in water. We don't even realize how often we're doing this. But I will tell you that when you do the work to undo that, oh my gosh, this beautiful life awaits. This beautiful life of aliveness and vitality and worthiness and of goodness. As I've done this work, I've never been able to live my true values more than I was before doing this work. My output of goodness in the world is so much bigger. And then my joy in my life, my aliveness in my life is so much bigger. And it makes sense, right? When each part is valued and respected and listened to, and it's like everyone's different, but we value everyone's differences and let's work together. goodness comes from that. And so that's when we do that inside, the same thing happens. So that's like our recap on the first 2 episodes. And I just wanted to reiterate that part is that if we don't heal the shame-based operating systems, we get entitlement, not healing. So that will help a lot of you who are like a little bit worried. If I befriend my sexuality, like, isn't that going to create, isn't sexuality dangerous? We're going to dive into that today. Isn't sexuality harmful? Or I'm afraid that I'm going to open Pandora's box. How we avoid doing that is we heal the shame-based systems inside of us. We have to do that. It's vital. But let's dive into that a little bit more. Isn't sexuality harmful? We talked about this a little bit in the first episode. What I'll start with saying is that there's a difference between physiology and morality. I've done episodes on this in the past. But physiology is normal, natural body physiological responses. So hunger, sexual urges, being tired. Morality is what we do with those physiological responses. Morality is this harming another person? Is this harming myself or another person? Is this creating harm? And so you can have the physiological symptom, and that's just physiology. Morality is what we choose to do with that. So sexual urges, sexuality is not inherently bad. It's just a physiological symptom. Being attracted to certain things, just a physiological experience. What we do with that creates morality. It's like hunger. It's not a sin to be hungry. Hunger is just something that comes from having a body. And when we're hungry, we have choices with that. We can go get some food. If you're one of my kids, you can punch your sibling in the arm and take their bread out of their hand. I don't know. Do anyone's kids do stuff like that? Or is it just my kids? I swear too, it's summer right now and they're fighting like crazy. That's kind of a silly example, but hopefully you get the idea, right? Physiological symptoms. I have this sexual urge. I have this sexual desire. Morality is what I choose to do with that. But back to our example of our sexuality being caged and shamed. If our sexuality is caged and repressed, our ability to make good decisions with our sexuality is impacted. So like think about a dog who is just like a sweet puppy. They're cuddly. And then imagine this dog, you get it, and then you put it in a cage, or you're told that it's dangerous and that it's scary. It needs to be pushed away. And you can't give it what it needs. Whatever it asks for is wrong. It's going to hurt people. So we just got to put it away. What happens when a dog is neglected, caged, ignored? That's when it becomes dangerous, right? That's when it becomes ravenous and angry, and it's going to bark. And that's when it's, more likely to hurt someone. This is the exact same thing with our sexuality. So sexual violence is so real, and it takes your breath away. It's like a gut punch when you recognize how pervasive it is too. The statistics are 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys. And so I know, this is like personal to me. I know people, I know people. You probably know people in your life, but they haven't even told you because it's not something that you just go and tell people that, but it's like pervasive. And so that's also why I'm so passionate about this work and so passionate about teaching it this way. And it's exactly why this is so important, because truly, what's the alternative? What is the alternative to working with your sexuality? You have 2 choices. Because guess what? It exists. It's there. It's not going anywhere. Like we talked about in the first episode, it's a biological urge. So we have 2 choices. We can either learn how to work with it and befriend it, or we can always be trying to push it away and push it away, push it away. When we push it down, push it away, it's like holding a beach ball underwater. What happens when we hold a beach ball underwater? And I know you guys have experienced this because you've done this with your urges, right? I have a sexual urge. I want to view porn, and I'm going to push it down. I'm going to push it away. I'm going to pretend it's not there. I'm going to ignore it. And then what happens eventually? It pops up, holding a beach ball underwater. And the deeper you hold it down, the harder you're holding it down, the harder it's going to pop back up. When it pops up, who knows where it's going? But when we just hold that beach ball on the water, that's when we have control. That's when we can choose who to pass it to. That's when we can choose what to do with it easier. And so that's why this is so important, because the men and women who hurt people aren't men and women with healthy sexuality. They are not ones who are in a good relationship with their sexuality. They're men and women whose sexuality was caged, shamed, distorted, weaponized. And so the only options that we have, truly, we have 2 options. We can shut it down, which is going to create a lot of internal conflict And it's going to also create a lot of harm internally, which is what you're experiencing right now and why you're listening to the podcast, because of the distress in your life around this and feeling like your actions aren't matching up with your values. Or we can learn how to befriend it and be with it and be in relationship with it. So how I've been thinking about this with the program that we're starting in July on befriending your sexuality, where we're working together for 12 weeks on this, is it's like couples therapy, but between you and your sexuality. There's this piece of you, and it's not your fault. It's like so many of us didn't even have a choice to think about this differently, just told from the very get-go that this part is bad. And so again, I don't want anyone blaming themselves for you not having a good relationship with your sexuality. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. But now that we want to start having a relationship with this piece of us, we can't just pretend like nothing happened to it, right? We can't just like now bring it online and just say, okay, here you are, let's be friends, right? When this piece of you has been suppressed or ignored or caged in shame for so long, right? Imagine doing that in real life with an actual person. That person would act out. They'd be like, I missed out on so much. I deserve this. Screw you. A lot of potential for some conflict there. And so we can't just pretend like nothing happened to it. That's why we have to heal the relationship with it. Heal the relationship with this piece of ourselves. We do that by understanding, getting into dialogue with it, creating safety and trust in the relationship again, and then learning how to partner with it. That takes time. That's not something that's done overnight. And that's also why self-compassion isn't enough. Some of you who've said, well, I've tried the self-compassion thing and it didn't work. There's a number of reasons for that. One of them is that, yeah, the self-compassion, but underneath it, there's a lot more that needs to happen. There needs to be the healing and the healing of the relationship with this piece, and that takes time. And again, it's kind of like couples therapy, but between you and your sexuality is how I'm thinking of this. Some of you might be wondering, well, what if my sexuality is just bad? Like, what if I'm too far gone? You don't know me. You don't know the things I've thought. And what I'll say to you is that I would point you to an episode where I talk about this in depth. It's called Sexual Fantasy versus Desire. And I think also Intrusive Thoughts. I don't remember exactly what the title is, but it's something about sexual fantasy versus desire. And you can go and listen to that. It'll be really helpful. But what I will say to you is that the realm of sexuality includes dark and taboo, and that's not unique to you. And that doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're too far gone. And it doesn't mean that you can't befriend your sexuality. You absolutely can. And again, the people who do that are the safest people in the world. I had a client who I loved this from him. He said, for decades, I truly believed I was a monster. I hated myself. This program showed me that I wasn't broken and there's nothing wrong with me. And it changed everything. It changed my marriage, my relationships, my identity, my life. I wish someone had taught me this when I was 14 instead of just telling me to pray harder or try harder. I wish I had known this was something that I could learn. And some of you might be thinking, okay, but I don't want to let myself off the hook. What does befriending your sexuality really look like? What does that look like in the day-to-day? And so let's really paint a vision here, because again, what I'm not saying justification for these things that don't line up with your value system. But let me create a vision here just by talking a little bit more about sexual energy. So sexual energy is this beautiful energy, again, that we're born with, that is here, that comes online, that is like our birthright. It's not even just something that's really cool to have. It's like something that is our birthright, that is ours. And it's so much more than just, I want these specific sexual things or I want sex. It's a whole energy of vitality and aliveness and attraction. And again, the word I just keep going back to is vitality, aliveness. And so just like rocket fuel, I can't remember if I said this in the first episode or not, but just like rocket fuel is an energy and you can use it to take you to amazing places, right? It can launch a rocket, but rocket fuel can also blow up a launch pad and hurt a lot of people and create a lot of damage. It just depends on how it's channeled. And so right now, your sexual energy is being channeled in ways that are creating destruction. Even if that's just like internally, I don't feel good internally and I'm depressed and I'm anxious and I'm worried. And for some of you, you can like feel it too. It's like, my life is just, it's not fulfilling. My life is okay, but I'm also kind of blah. When we learn how to channel and use that sexual energy, again, rocket fuel, you can use it to take you to amazing places. Hey everyone, it's Sarah. I have something really exciting to share with you. I am back with a brand new class. I haven't been this excited about something in years. When I first started the podcast, when I first started the business, I was really fired up, really pumped up. And then I've evolved, and now I am bringing you along with me in my evolutions and how we're going to be talking about things and addressing things that are going to create so much more freedom for you. So my new class that I want to invite you to is called Everything That You Were Taught About Quitting Porn Kept You Trapped. Once you see why, you can finally break the cycle and feel free again. This is a free class. I'm going to be teaching for most of it. At the very end, you'll get to learn about the new program that I'm offering. But whether or not you decide to come and join me in that new program, you're going to get so much value out of this free class. It's, again, like I said, it's something I'm fired up about, and I just want to share it with as many people as possible. So please come. You can join for free. The dates will be on this page. It's called centerforovercoming.com/live class. All right, can't wait to see you there. Talk soon. Bye-bye. So this is about so much more than sex, even though that's a huge part of it. Like your relationship with your sexuality. Can you express your sexuality in fulfilling ways? Can you experience sexual desire in fulfilling ways? That's a huge, important part of it that, is exciting and fun, and that we want to learn how to heal and we want to learn how to create too. But again, even more so than that, it's like imagine being fully alive, befriending your sexuality, learning to be with and work with this instead of against it unlocks this ability to be fully alive. And so we've talked a lot about freedom and freedom from porn and feeling free and free from the pain of that. Yes, 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 yes. And imagine being fully alive. I have clients who have told me, oh my gosh, this is about so much more than quitting porn. I say, yeah, I know, isn't it? And they said, I just feel so alive. I'm writing this book I've always wanted to write. I'm not waking up every day doing a tally of whether or not I was a good person yesterday. I just get to spend my energy being fully alive. And when I'm fully alive, guess what? I do really cool things. I show up in my communities really well. I've had so many clients too who say, now I'm a leader who helps people work with this in my church community. Or clients who say, now I'm writing a book. Or clients who say, I'm working with my clients in my business and there's more vigor and more aliveness than there ever has been before. The reason you don't have that right now isn't because you're stuck in porn. It's because you're stuck fighting your sexuality. Fighting your sexuality will create the stuckness in porn, but it also creates this stuckness in our life of being able to feel fully alive and fully free. I also want to share and mention my husband a little bit here. I haven't talked about him very much in the podcast, but I've started to, and it's been awesome. And I shared this in the master class that I did, the live class that I did a few weeks ago. I shared this for the first time. But when we were engaged to be married, when we were just little, over 10 years ago, he told me, he's like, I have to tell you something. I'm struggling with pornography. And it just at the time where I was in my life, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't had no idea that I would end up doing what I'm doing, right? And I was like, wait, I was told this is a big red flag. I don't know what to think about this. Let me go think on this. Let me go research. Let me go be with myself on this. And I did a bunch of research, and I learned how porn is often, there's a lot more going on underneath the surface if someone is struggling with it. And so for him, it was just, occasional use when he was stressed. It wasn't anything that in my mind I needed to be concerned about for our relationship. I talk about this in depth in other episodes where we talk about is porn considered infidelity? And we look at underneath the surface and all of the relationship dynamics underneath the surface that create a lot of pain around this. And it's like a whole thing we could talk about forever. But for me, it was okay, actually, I feel good about this. I'm not worried. Oh, it's not as black or white as I was taught. And then years later, I started working with clients. Then we got married, happily married, right? Years later, started working with clients, and it started coming up with my clients all the time. It's like client after client after client was like, hey, actually porn. Hey, actually, can you help me with porn? And then that's when they started to see success, and I started to create the framework that I've taught in the podcast for 6 years now. But he was the catalyst of all of this. And so those first, however many episodes, maybe the first 100, not every episode, but a lot of those early episodes when I was speaking to y'all, I was Also thinking of my husband, who I just adore, and watching him do so much inner work and watching how it was really a result of all the things that he was taught about sex and sexuality from just how so many of us do in purity culture, people and churches that aren't trying to hurt you, but do, and how they talk about sex, right? Ours was pretty intense too. But like one of the things we heard growing up is that sexual sin is next to murder. And so then a boy who turns 16 and masturbates, or however old you are and you masturbate and you think something's wrong with you, oh no, did I just commit a sin next to murder? That's what's creating the problems. That's what's creating the problems. It's not even a porn problem. It's not even like a masturbation problem. It's a shame problem. And then, like I've talked about forever in the podcast, but it's that shame that actually creates the problems with the porn, if there end up being problems with it. But back to this idea of vitality. So like with him, seeing him over the years, seeing and watching him become so alive, especially as we got married young and we were high school sweethearts. Am I just going to talk about my husband the whole time? Maybe. I just love him. We were high school sweethearts. It's like we grew up together and done so much healing together. It's really beautiful. But to watch him just become so alive and have so much vitality, and to go from years of almost like numbness. And the numbness is coming from a lot of shame. It's like I felt shame for so long and then I numb out because the numbness feels better than the shame. And then him going from all of the pressure that you feel as a man in societies where there are really strong gender roles. Like, what does it mean to be a man? What was I taught about what it means to be a man? And all of the pressure that can just like suffocate you. Pressure, and then if there's shame on top of it, and then what does it mean to be a man? And it's just, to watch him go from that to where he is now, which is so alive, so much vitality. This morning, he's just smiling, just hugging me. Oh my gosh, I love life. He just kept saying that. I love life. He has a business that he loves. He works with people that he loves to work with. He's using his gifts in, his very specific way that only he can use his gifts, which is all of us, right? We all have these really beautiful gifts. We just have to uncover what they are and use them instead of trying to fit ourselves into these boxes that society tells us we should be in. Anyways, it's been just the most beautiful journey for me to see him experience that. But that's what this is about. And that is a result of all of this work that he's done. And it's the work that I'm talking to you about. It's the result of learning how to befriend your sexuality. And you can do that whether you're married or not. I'm going to do a whole episode on this, you guys, because I know some of you are thinking, well, that's great for married men who have a sexual outlet. There's so much I want to say about that. So we're going to do another episode on that, because it's not just reserved for people in relationships. It's not. In fact, that way, or thinking that it's easier for that can create a lot of problems in relationships. So we're going to dive into that in the next episode. I've already been talking for a long time. But we're switching from now, instead of just what would it look like to not have the pain of my porn use, to what would it look like to be fully alive, to wake up every day. And instead of feeling dread or like a blah or like not wanting to go about your day, you're just excited about life. Your relationships are fulfilling and beautiful. You have friendships that you trust. It's almost like you're going, again, that fuel example. It's like you have this energy now. You feel it deep in your belly. It's just like this energy, this aliveness that takes you to do these things you love to do. Right now, you're not running a marathon to prove yourself, to prove that you're good enough. Now you're running a marathon because it makes you feel alive. Simple as looking around your office in the middle of the day and watching how the sun reflects off of your arm and just being filled with a sense of wonder, of aliveness. Taking the risks that you always wanted to take. Again, not to prove yourself, not I'm going to take this risk, and if I accomplish it, I'm going to prove myself, but taking the risk because it's what you know in your soul is what you really want and what will help you feel alive. Where all of the emotions throughout the day come in, and it's okay. Like, you're deeply sad, and it's okay because clean sadness feels like sacred and alive. Stress is okay. Worry is okay. You're just allowing it all because there's nothing to be afraid of. This is just what it's like to be alive. Nothing's gone wrong, and I'm okay. I don't have to prove that I'm okay. I just am okay. That's what's possible when you do the deep healing of healing these shame-based systems and befriending your sexuality. Let's use this energy to be fully alive instead of, right, what's the only other option? It's to repress it, and that's what creates harm in our lives. I just got this from a client today, and I was like, oh, I got to add this to the podcast. He said, the miracle of learning how to love me, all of me, has made all the difference. Porn viewing has dropped over 50% month over for the period from January to May. June is on track for less than 3 hours. Over the same period of decreasing porn viewing, my life has got more complex, more challenging, and more fulfilling. 6 months ago, I didn't have the skills I needed for the current promotion I just received. Sarah's podcast started this final journey, and the coaching saw the final transformation. I appreciate Kat. Kat's his one-on-one coach in the program. Kat in ways I can't really express via email, and I appreciate Sarah in ways I also can't express via email. Same for the program. Thank you. It's from Tristan. It just makes me cry when I read. I really wanted to share it. I think it's so beautiful. I loved this part too, where he said, over the same period of decreasing porn viewing, my life has got more complex, more challenging, and more fulfilling. Like, you can feel the goal here isn't just ease, although it will get so much easier. The goal here is more fulfilling, more alive. So beautiful. So anyways, thank you to my client Tristan for sharing this. And to end today, I want to talk about the program that we are starting in July. I'm so freaking excited, you guys. I haven't been this excited about a program or something I've been doing in years. I hope you can feel it. And why I'm so excited is because we're diving into all of these things, how to actually apply these things. Again, it's one thing to understand, it's a whole other thing to implement, which is what I liked about what Tristan said too. He said, the podcast started it, but the coaching helped me actually transform. That's how it works. That's why I'm not afraid of, in the podcast, I just tell you everything. I teach you everything in the podcast. I want you to have all the information. I'm not trying to hold anything back. It's because there's a difference between getting information and then actually implementing it too. It's like surfing. I learned how to surf this last year, and it was freaking hard, you guys. It kicked my butt. And I would watch reels on how to surf at night, and I'd get so excited. I'm like, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that. Like, wow, so pumped. But then when I actually got in the ocean, it was so hard. And so having a teacher and having a coach and having friends to teach me how to do it just made all the difference. It's the same with this. There's a difference between getting information and then applying it. And so in the program that I'm doing in July, that's the container for actually applying it. So I will be working with you, and we'll be applying it together week after week after week. You'll also get 6 one-on-one sessions with a one-on-one coach. So when Tristan said, I appreciate Kat in ways I can't express via email, Kat is his one-on-one coach. I have the most incredible one-on-one coaches that will help you apply it even further. I also am having Dr. Kirsty Spute come in, and she's going to be doing Q&A and coaching all around everything sex. She is incredible. She's one of my favorite contacts that I've made, Dr. Kirsty Spute. She just specializes specifically in sex and sexuality. And I met her years ago when I spoke at a conference at BYU around pornography. And that's where I met her. And she's since left the university and has her own private practice, and is one of the things I'm most excited about this program as well. So you can get information on that. We have a whole page that tells you all the information on price, payment plans, what's included. We'll link that here in the show notes, but it's centerforovercoming.com/work-with-me. If you're not sure and you want to talk to someone about it, you can get on a call with Hunter. We can get the payment plans down a little bit and just extend them a little bit. And if you want to do that, you also have to talk to Hunter. He can get you set up. So we'll also, in the show notes, put a link to reach out to Hunter. You can also always email him at hunter@sarahbrewer.com. And then lastly, if you're a client, I'm doing a special sneak peek into the program, what it's going to be like, how it's different from the current program. And so you check the calendar. That's next week, which when this is released will be this week. So it's on the 25th. So it's Thursday of this week. I'm doing a special sneak peek into that. And I would love to invite you to come and join and to check it out. We'll also have a bit of a discount for current clients if you guys want to come work with me in depth for 12 weeks starting in July. And if you're not a client, but maybe you want to come to my live class where I'm teaching this process again a little bit cleaner, a little bit clearer, and then answering any questions and diving into details of the program, that's on Wednesday. So you're welcome to come to that class as well. We'll link all of this in the show notes. So the live class, it'll be centerforovercoming.com/live class. And I will be there live so we can talk and chat and you can ask questions. If you're by chance listening to this after July, we still will have the program going. And so just check in on our website to see what we're offering and how you can get in the program. I'm going to be offering this for the foreseeable future. It's not a one-time and done thing, although me teaching it live in July is a one-time and done thing. And so if you've been wanting to work in the program, this is the best time to come because we'll get to be together in a little bit more of an intimate group setting live for 12 whole weeks. It's going to be awesome. I'm just pumped. All right, you guys, more to come next week. Sending you all of the love. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Overcome Pornography for Good podcast. If you're ready to take your next steps, visit centerforovercoming.com. We'll talk to you next week.